Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following content is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. What you're about to hear is the verbatim federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial, as reported by Inner City Press. All right, before we unpack Usher's courtroom emotional exorcism, let's take it back. Back to the slick suits, the shiny music videos, and the era where Diddy could do no wrong. Or so we thought. Sean Diddy Combs, aka Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy Dirty Money, or just Puff depending on which decade we're talking about, wasn't just a music mogul. He was the guy, the face of Bad Boy Records, the king of 90s hip-hop glitz, and the self-declared blueprint for how to build a billionaire empire off a bottle of Ciroc and a dream. And then there's Usher Raymond, the velvet-voiced prodigy from Chattanooga, Tennessee, who went from child star to global icon before he could legally rent a car. By the time he was 14, Usher was already signed, styled, and tossed into the pop machine like a shiny new toy. And guess who got handed the keys to that toy's development? Yup, Diddy. Now, on paper, it sounded like a dream team. Usher's label, under L.A. Reid, thought that pairing him with Diddy would give him an edge. The street cred, the swagger, the sauce. What they apparently didn't anticipate was the flavor camp. No, seriously, flavor camp. That's what Diddy allegedly called the environment Usher was thrown into, which, if we're being real, sounds less like an artist boot camp and more like the title of a documentary that ends with lawsuits. And while Usher was out here dropping hits and selling millions, he was also, according to his testimony, carrying a secret so heavy it nearly crushed him. Because behind the red carpets and the platinum plaques were locked doors, masked figures, and contracts that silenced more than they protected. Let's not forget, this isn't the first time whispers surrounded Diddy's world. From the mystery of Craig Mack's disappearance to that now viral Drink Champs interview where things got strange. The streets have been buzzing for years, but no one, and we mean no one, with Usher's level of fame had ever gone on record. Until now. And let's just say, the Usher we saw in that courtroom, not the polished performer, not the meme-worthy "watch this guy." This was a grown man ready to burn down the empire that almost buried him. So, how did a mentorship turn into trauma? How did a teen pop star find himself in the middle of what sounds like a secret society in Versace robes? Well, buckle up, because in part 1, we're walking through every detail of that explosive testimony, from the secret contracts and creepy parties to a moment so chilling, even the judge was left speechless. So picture this. The courtroom's dead silent. Even the judge is leaning forward. And then, boom! In walks Usher Raymond, looking like he's ready to file a lawsuit and drop a concept album at the same time. The crowd expected drama. What they got was a confessional that cracked open the gates of Diddy's carefully curated kingdom. Because Usher didn't just throw accusations, he brought receipts, dates, documents, and trauma with timestamps. Let's start at the beginning. Usher tells the court he was 14 years old when his label set him up to live with Diddy in New York. A teenager, bright-eyed, full of ambition, and completely unaware that his mentorship was about to come with an NDA and a lifetime of nightmares. "I thought I was going to learn how to be a star," Usher says. "What I saw instead were things no teenager should be around." Bam! Right out the gate. He walks into Diddy's Midtown penthouse and finds champagne for breakfast, strangers passed out in side rooms, and half-naked celebrities stumbling around like it's a deleted scene from Eyes Wide Shut Hip-Hop Edition. And let's not forget the phrase that keeps haunting this entire testimony: flavor camp. A name that sounds fun and marketable until Usher realizes it's less mentorship and more ritualistic indoctrination. Usher recalls one specific night. 3 a.m., music playing, candles lit, people in masks walking in. Yes, masks. He says he thought he walked into a movie set. But this was no movie. This was real life. He's told to go back to bed. But he doesn't sleep that night. Because how do you sleep after seeing something that redefines the man who's mentoring you? That was the moment that changed how I saw Diddy forever. Yeah, chilling. Fast forward to a year later. Usher is 15 and gets invited on a private Caribbean retreat. Just him, Diddy, and a few others. No press, no cameras, no supervision. He says it was pitched as an escape, a learning experience. But when he got there, I wasn't there to learn anything about music. The energy was dark, isolated, quiet in all the wrong ways. And while he doesn't spill every detail, which, let's be honest, makes it even scarier, he makes one thing clear. He wasn't given a choice. Not about the environment, not about the silence. It was all decided for him. That's when the control began. From then on, anytime Usher questioned anything, Diddy would remind him, "You don't bite the hand that feeds you, let that marinate." Here's where it goes full horror movie. At 16 years old, Usher says he was given a contract that included a confidentiality clause, disguised as a standard NDA for label matters. But buried in the legal jargon, audiovisual documentation, private events, discretion clauses. Basically, you saw nothing, you say nothing. And guess what? His mom had to co-sign it. He trusted them. They told him it was standard. That signature bought my silence for years. And it didn't end there. In 2009, he prepped for an interview that was about to get personal. Right before it aired, boom, call from Bad Boy's legal team. "We hope you're not trying to jeopardize your reputation." That's not a warning, that's a threat with a PR smile. Usher says he backed out of the interview, but it wasn't just legal pressure. He says he received veiled threats from people he hadn't spoken to in years. You think you're done with that world, but it's never done with you. And just when you think it can't get darker, it does. Usher testifies that Diddy once showed him a handheld video. It featured another young artist, doing something that, in Usher's words, he wouldn't have agreed to unless someone made him. And Diddy? He laughed while showing it, like it was an inside joke, like trauma was just entertainment. Asked if he felt threatened, Usher didn't hesitate. He didn't have to. The people around him did. They didn't use words. They used silence and exile. Usher shares that in 2001, he checked into a private mental health facility under a fake name. Why? He was triggered by the scent of a candle, the same scent Diddy used to burn in those parties. Let that sink in. A smell sent him spiraling into a full breakdown. That's trauma on a cellular level. He was later diagnosed with PTSD, and he says it took 2 years of therapy just to sleep through the night. And what might be the most heartbreaking moment of his testimony? "I survived Puffy. But did the kid in me survive? I still don't know." Let's pause for a second. Because that line, that's not a quote. That's a scar. But Usher wasn't done. He drops more receipts, contracts that gave Diddy his masters until age 35, a $4.3 million royalty discrepancy. Artists like Craig Mack, Total, Black Rob allegedly chewed up and spat out by Bad Boy. He even says he tried to organize a secret meeting in 2011 with other artists to hold Diddy accountable. It never happened because someone tipped Diddy off. And then there's the artist who threatened to speak out. Diddy allegedly ordered the destruction of his demo tapes. That artist? He vanished. No one knows where he is. But I remember his voice. He was scared. Yeah, same energy as Epstein didn't kill himself. We're only halfway through this mess, and already the courtroom is looking less like a trial and more like a crime scene in a recording studio. So, let's be real. When a global superstar like Usher sits in a courtroom, stares down one of the most powerful men in music and says, "You didn't give me this life. You gave me nightmares," you don't just spark conversation. You light the whole damn culture on fire. The minute the news broke, Twitter, X, turned into a live-action episode of Law & Order Celebrity Unit. Tweets like, "Usher said what in court? Diddy's finished, pack it up. Flavor Camp is the creepiest thing I've ever heard." And of course, the viral one. "I survived Puffy. But did the kid in me survive? I felt that." Usher testifies, Diddy exposed, and Hollywood cover-up trended globally within hours. TikTok sleuths were stitching the hell out of old clips. Suddenly, Diddy's past interviews looked real different. That Drink Champs moment where he said, "It's part of the game?" Yikes, not aged well. And then the old Craig Mack interviews started resurfacing. Remember when he talked about leaving Bad Boy and how he found God? Yeah, that hit different now. Meanwhile, YouTube commentary channels were on full attack mode. Everyone had a theory, everyone had a timeline, and everyone agreed on one thing. This was not just about Diddy. This was about a system. Now let's talk about the elephant not in the room. The celebs who said nothing, because suddenly everyone who used to post pics with Diddy in silk pajamas was suspiciously quiet. Let's do a quick roll call. DJ Khaled? Quiet. Mary J. Blige? Nowhere to be found. Jay-Z? Not even a vague lyric. Bieber's team? Crickets. Let's not forget, Usher directly referenced Bieber in court, saying he was 15. They were treating him like a grown man, and revealed that Bieber once called him crying and said, "I want to come home." Cue every believer on earth gasping in unison. This wasn't shade, this was a direct hit. Usher says he confronted Diddy after that call, asking, "What are you doing to these kids?" And Diddy allegedly replied, "Same thing they did to me, it's how the game works." I'm sorry, what the hell? That line alone sent the internet into DEFCON 1. Reddit threads titled, "Is Diddy running a cult?" started popping up like mushrooms, and fans started side-eyeing every single celeb who ever called him family. Oh, the memes came fast and they came savage. Diddy photoshopped as the Monopoly man hoarding contracts. Flavor Camp rebranded as a fake Netflix horror doc poster. That one clip of Usher screaming, "Watch this!" with the caption, "Usher before naming names in court." Even TikTok sound creators hopped on it. Welcome to Flavor Camp, where dreams go to die and NDAs are dessert. Back in the courtroom, things were just as unhinged. According to transcripts, again, fictionalized for entertainment, Diddy was visibly tense during Usher's testimony. His team objected, repeatedly, especially when Usher pulled out that actual copy of the NDA from when he was 16. The judge allowed it into evidence. And let me tell you, the collective gasp from the courtroom was practically audible through the screen. It wasn't just the NDA. It was the journal entries, the missing royalties, the witness threats, and the disappeared artists. Usher didn't cry until the end, but when he said, "I told him I saw things no kid should see," you could hear a pin drop. Even the courtroom sketch artist was probably like, "I can't draw this level of trauma." Behind the scenes, oh, you know the industry started sweating. Labels, lawyering up, execs, whispering in rooms with no phones allowed, PR firms, writing statements they hope they never have to post. And while no official statement came from Diddy's camp in this fictional world, you better believe the vibe was panic. Insiders claimed calls were made, old party footage was getting scrubbed. Influencers who used to brag about being invited to the mansion suddenly started untagging themselves in anything bad boy related. Because now, every NDA smells like guilt. Every unreleased contract looks like a potential confession. And the worst part? More people are coming forward. Usher said it himself. There were others. Drivers, assistants, artists. They knew. They all knew. This wasn't just about broken careers. It was about broken people. Usher's testimony about PTSD, the therapy question mark, the panic attacks triggered by the scent of a candle, that hit hard. Because it proved this wasn't just a scandal. This was a system that fed off silence and survival. One line that particularly wrecked everyone was this: that house wasn't just a crash pad, it was a place where dreams were sold, but your soul was the price. You could feel the internet inhale. Let's recap some of the wildest courtroom mic drops from Usher. "You didn't give me this life. You gave me nightmares. If you knew what was really owed to you, you wouldn't sleep at night." Diddy, allegedly. He laughed while showing me the tape. "I survived, Puffy. But did the kid in me survive?" And that final moment where he addressed the victims and said, "I'm not afraid anymore. Not for me. I already lived through it. I'm doing this for the ones who didn't." Goosebumps. All right, bestie, let's talk aftermath, the real consequences. Because after Usher's courtroom mic drop, it's not just Diddy's empire that's crumbling, it's the entire myth of mentorship in the music biz. Let's start with the obvious. Look, Diddy built an empire. He didn't just create stars, he created a lifestyle. Kyrock, Sean John, Making the Band, the Vote or Die t-shirts. Take that, ad-libs. He was everywhere, a branding machine in human form. But now, that legacy is looking like a luxury facade glued over a dungeon. Because once you start stacking alleged coercion, financial manipulation, grooming allegations, missing royalties, secret NDAs, and literal masked parties in the dark, suddenly that empire doesn't scream hip-hop mogul. It screams, this docuseries is going to win an Emmy and ruin lives. And yes, we're already seeing the rebrand attempts. Diddy's team, again, fictional world here, has probably already pitched he's misunderstood. He grew up in a system of abuse, too. This is cancel culture. Babe, number Usher didn't come with vibes, he came with documents. And when you've got an R&B king openly saying, he didn't threaten me, the people around him did. That's not an isolated scandal. That's an ecosystem of fear. Now let's pivot to the man of the hour, Usher freaking Raymond. For years he stayed silent, did the media rounds, kept it clean. But now, he's a whistleblower in diamonds and discipline. Let's be honest, it was a risk to testify. He's not just risking Diddy's wrath, he's risking industry connections, brand deals, touring power, his image. But what he did was bigger than Billboard. He didn't cry victim. He said, "I thought I owed him." But you can't be grateful for a lie. And that, my friends, that's the kind of quote that turns a pop star into a cultural moment. You already know documentaries are coming. Books, exposés, an 8-part podcast called Flavor Camp: The Cult of Fame, hosted by some moody white guy in a beanie. But Usher? He'll come out of this reborn. The guy who confessed the confessions. The man who dared to break the no-snitching silence of the music elite. He's not just telling his story, he's opening the floodgates for artists who thought they had to suffer in silence to stay relevant. Let's talk business. This case just cracked open. Predatory contracts, artist manipulation, exploitative NDAs, emotional blackmail disguised as mentorship. You know those old interviews where stars said things like, "Yeah, I had to give up my masters to get put on." We used to shrug that off. Now, we're calling it what it is. A hostile takeover wrapped in a record deal. Diddy's not the only one who built an empire on silence. He's just the one getting caught first in this particular fictional saga. And let's not forget the list Usher hinted at, the other artists who got discarded once they weren't useful anymore. He name-dropped Carl Thomas Total, Black, Rob Craig Mack, and said many more took small settlements just to get their name back. Like, imagine having to buy your identity back from your former label boss. The emotional violence of that. You're not just stealing songs, you're stealing souls. Let's be honest, someone's PR team is drafting a statement right now, and it probably starts with, "I've always prided myself on uplifting Black voices." Barf. They'll probably try to blame industry culture, cry mental health journey, pull a "that was a different time" defense. Or worst, "I found God, y'all." But here's the thing, Usher didn't just drop allegations. He showed the receipts. NDAs signed at 16, missing millions in royalties. Anonymous threats, canceled tours. Journal entries going back decades, Bieber calling him saying, "I want to come home" after attending Diddy's parties. That's not a rebrand away. That's a full system needing a reckoning. You know the fans are doing the Lord's FBI-level research on this. Reddit's deep in threads titled, "Where is the missing artist Usher mentioned? Is this why Craig Mack disappeared?" TikTokers are re-editing every old Bad Boy music video like it's hiding Illuminati Easter eggs. Twitter, full-on detective mode. Remember when Diddy said, "You'll never see me sweat"? Baby, we've got a full sauna going now. And now fans are asking, who else is Flavor Camp alumni? Who else has NDAs they're afraid to break? What other empires were built on obedience, not talent? Because what Usher revealed doesn't end with Diddy. It ends with generational silence being ripped apart. This is the moment for the music industry, except instead of Hollywood directors and producers, we're looking at label heads, mentors, and hitmakers who built empires off the backs of vulnerable, ambitious teens. Usher cracked the code. And now that the first voice has spoken, others will follow. And when they do, the industry's gonna need more than an apology video with soft piano music. Whew, that's the big picture. A legacy collapsing, a hero rising, and an industry terrified of who's going to speak next. So, let's get this straight. Usher walked into court not just to testify, but to torch a legacy, blow the lid off an empire, and drag the music industry's darkest skeletons out of their Versace-lined closets. He came in quiet. He left a one-man truth bomb, from masked parties and million-dollar NDAs to mental breakdowns triggered by candle scents. Yes, candles. Usher gave us a front-row seat to what happens when fame isn't earned, it's survived. And the scariest part? This isn't just about Diddy. This is about every powerful figure who hides behind mentorship, weaponizes silence, and cashes checks on the trauma of the next generation. Because behind every pop anthem and platinum plaque might be a locked contract, a vanished artist, or a kid who was told be grateful or get lost. Usher didn't just spill tea, he gave us a roadmap for everything the industry tried to erase. And now we're watching the dominoes fall. The question isn't, is Diddy done? The question is, who's next on that courtroom playlist? I survived Puffy. But did the kid in me survive? Yeah, he said that in court, with the cameras rolling and jaws on the floor. Ladies, gents, and pop culture detectives, welcome to the wildest, darkest, and most WTF chapter in the Diddy downfall saga. Because just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Usher Raymond, Mr. Confessions himself, stepped into the courtroom and dropped bombs so heavy, we're still looking for the pieces. We're talking secret rooms, NDAs signed at 16, and a mentorship that makes Flavor Camp sound more like a cult retreat for the rich and shady. And baby, when Usher said, "You didn't give me this life, you gave me nightmares," not a single weave was left unshifted. Grab your matcha and your morality clause, bestie, because this one is gonna burn. If you screamed at least twice, gasped once, or texted a friend mid-video, then you already know what to do. Like this video. Comment your favorite jaw-dropping quote, subscribe if you're ready for part 2 of Hollywood's Fall from Grace Music Industry Edition. Because if Usher's telling the truth, this was just the first verse, and baby, the chorus is coming.